Hey yo, what's going on everybody? I'm your host, Charles Taylor, and in this video, I'm going to go over part of my MPC to Ableton Live workflow, and I'm also going to go over some details on how you can acquire the drum kit that I'm using in this video for free. Yeah, so if you want to check out the drum kit, then you can skip ahead to the end of the video, but for now, let's just jump right into Ableton Live and you can see what I'm doing on the computer. I will be getting a top-down camera shot soon of the MPC so you can see what's going on that, but for now we're just going to use the virtual method. So right here I have a track that I call controller mode because that's what the MPC is in, and inside this grouped track we have a few things going on. We got 1 to 8 audio tracks. These are audio tracks, and they're taking the audio from this track, which is my MPC plugin, VST. So when we pull up the MPC plugin, we get the full working MPC system. The only thing we can't do is sample, which is totally reasonable. Everything else is working fine. So before we jump too much into the details, I'll just give you a little playthrough of the 4 bars that the hook is, just so you hear kind of what we're working with. It comes in hot, just so you know. So that's what we're working with. We got a sample, we have some do, and that was provided from a sample from my sister, believe it or not. And also we got some drums going on. So a very basic beat in terms of samples and whatnot, but what we are going to do is start arranging it into not just a hook, but into a full-blown instrumental. And how I want to do it is going to be more of a performance method than just kind of clicking and dragging different sections of the song together. Or if you're familiar with the MPC workflow, you do have song mode where you can sequence together different sequences. You can structure together different sequences in a linear format, and that kind of does the trick as well. But for me, I didn't really do too many sequences with this track. I basically just did an intro and a hook. And then from there, the way that I want to have the song develop and structure and build and change over time is I want to do that live on the MPC itself. So I want to capture the audio of my performance. That's why we have it set up this way. So let's get to the setup. There's the MPC plugin, and then we have our audio tracks like we talked about. The audio is coming from the MPC plugin track, but we have a output option here right under, or like a secondary input, I guess is more accurate to say. Anyways, there's the second drop down menu that you can probably see here, and I've gone through and selected different outputs. So track number 1 is going to have output 3 and 4. Track 2 has output 5 and 6. Track 3 has 7 and 8, so on and so forth. Now, if we play the beat again, you should be able to see that the audio is coming in differently here. So that's actually not happening here, and I know exactly why that is. Let's pull up our plugin, and we need to change a couple settings here. So I'm going to go into the mixer of our plugin here, and if we kind of pull this up, you can see we're focused on the audio, and we have output options that they're going to. So not only do you have output options for audio tracks in the MPC, but you also have it for the programs itself. which you can see my programs are going to all my subgroups. So my submixes is what we need to change. The output right now is just going to 1 and 2. 1 and 2 is just the VST plugin track that I have here. We don't want that. So let's pull this back up. We're going to change the output to 3 and 4 for our first submix. You don't have to use your submixes. I just prefer to do it. We're changing the output of submix number 2 to 5 and 6, and then 7 and 8 for submix 3, so on and so forth, right? So that's great. Now, let's go back into Ableton, and if we hit play, you can see that now the drums are just soloed on track 3, and that's because my drums in the MPC are being routed through submix number 3. We still have some audio coming through 1 and 2, and I'm not too sure exactly where that is, but let's hit play. We'll solo this and I'll find out. Awesome. Now, that tells me that I know, based on how I did this beat, that we have some returns. And these returns are routed through outputs 1 and 2. So we're going to change that right now to be 3 and 4. So that everything is consistent. Now the routing in the MPC is all taken care of. So if you're familiar with the MPC workflow, going through these routing options and changing your output should be simple enough to do. You should know how to do that. If you're familiar with Ableton Live and its routing options, you should know exactly what's going on here, and you should be able to figure that out and how it's going. If you have done your routing, but you still have your monitor set to either off or auto, you're not going to hear anything when you hit play. Okay, so you need to switch your monitor to in, and now Ableton is listening in to that track. There's still one. There we go. Now that should do the trick. So I have my hook sequence, and basically we're just going to keep looping this hook sequence within the MPC, and I'm going to pull up my track mutes and do these track mutes, record these track mutes live. That's the beauty of this. We're going to be able to record track mutes and record filter sweeps and stuff like that. So I'm just going to kind of play around as this beat continues to loop over the 4 bars over and over again. And by changing it as it's looping, we're building the structure of the song itself, right? So, but before we do that, we need to tell Ableton, hey, we want you to record. So I highlight the tracks that I know audio is going to be coming through. I enable recording on each of those tracks, and then we can just simply hit record. And now we're recording. So we're not actually recording here. We're recording into our arrangement view, which is fine. You can either record into the session view or the arrangement view. It really doesn't matter. But in the MPC, what I'm going to do right now is mute the drums, and you should be able to see that in Ableton Live, no drums are playing right after we hit the mute button. So we're basically going to do that. And even though this is still recording, we know that we're not going to keep any of this that's been recording right now. And if we make any mistakes during our performance, we can always just cut those out and change them and edit it after, right? So let's just dive into it. Here we go. Sweet. Wicked, wicked, wicked. Okay, so now we can highlight the 3 tracks that we just recorded. If we hit playback right now, nothing's going to happen. We're not going to hear anything. We need to switch our monitor to off, and now that's going to enable everything that we just recorded, right? Now we know that our beat kind of kicks in here, let's say, and we're just going to delete any information before that because, like we said, we didn't really need to keep any of that stuff. And there we have it, our live performance of what we just recorded. And now, of course, you can go through and edit each of your tracks as well, adjusting the volumes and stuff like that, and kind of doing more of the fine-tune editing that you would typically find in working with a software DAW, where I did a mix in Ableton, or in the MPC, sorry, but the mix in the MPC is, mixing in MPC is definitely different than mixing in Ableton Live. We'll just say that much. So of course you can go back and play this back if you would wish. So I actually want the beat to kick in there, and we can cut that time. Boom. So now, like I said, you can kind of edit little parts that you don't want to keep. You can edit them out. You can move different parts around. And even those like filter sweeps that we were doing probably halfway through are going to be kept in here. I'm not sure exactly where that filter sweep is, but I think by now you guys get the picture, right? Hopefully you do. Like I said, this drum kit is the one that I'm going to be releasing for free. And yeah, it's 16 pads of, is it 16? Yeah, I think it's 16 pads of some good drums that I've kind of randomly gone through and edited and whatnot. So if you do want this drum kit, then what I'm going to ask you to do is to just simply send me an email. My email is going to be in the description. It's hostcharlestaylor@gmail.com. You can send me an email. I will definitely give this to you for free. And for those of you who like what I did here, want to see more, want to support, then definitely head over to my Patreon, which is also going to be in the link in the description. Not only are you going to get this drum kit for free, but each month I'm going to be releasing lots of material. I'm going to be releasing a drum kit that is packed full. Each pad bank in the MPC is going to have a kit attached with it. So that's basically 8 drum kits that you're going to get per month, each month of this year, 2021. Like I said, if you think that's a good idea, if you like what I did here, then definitely support the kid. Besides that, I hope this was informative. I hope it kind of spurred up some questions. Ask your questions down below so that when I do another video, I kind of know what I didn't really cover too well and what you need more information about. That's it for me. Peace.